Good evening, and welcome to the Patriot Forecast. Tonight we analyze a conflict defined by two starkly opposing realities: the tactical innovation of Kiev's forces on the battlefield and the chilling, internal rot at the heart of the Kremlin. For months, the world has watched Ukraine's strategic ingenuity bloom. They've pushed the operational boundaries of modern warfare, fielding long-range and rocket drones capable of striking hundreds of miles into enemy territory. This is innovation on a shoestring budget, a vital strategic achievement. Yet, there is a hard, cold truth that comes with this innovation: the limited payload. These drones can target a facility, but they lack the devastating power to truly obliterate it, to erase an entire major Russian refinery from the map. This is the key asymmetry of the war right now, and it is why the Tomahawk missile is not just a weapon. It is a potential game-changer. A Tomahawk, armed with a 1,000-pound warhead, a range of 1,600 miles, represents the surgical power that could deliver a devastating, paralyzing blow to the very infrastructure sustaining the Russian war machine. The debate around providing this technology is a debate about shifting the entire trajectory of this conflict. But that is only half the story. Because as Ukraine evolves its military capabilities, another, far more sinister evolution is unfolding inside Russia's corridors of power. Beneath the facade of Vladimir Putin's absolute control, a different kind of war is being waged, a purge driven by deep, corrosive paranoia. We are witnessing the terrifying return of what has been chillingly dubbed sudden Russian death syndrome. Let's dive deeper into the military reality. Ukraine's drone program is a strategic masterpiece of necessity. Their long-range drones, some operating hundreds of miles deep behind the front lines, are a persistent thorn in Russia's side. They are successfully striking high-value tactical targets. This is how a force outmatched in traditional heavy artillery can still project power. I think it is clear that drone warfare is the great equalizer of the 21st century. However, strategic devastation requires a different caliber of hardware. The limited payload of these innovative drones restricts their use to tactical strikes. They can damage a fuel depot. They cannot realistically wipe out an entire complex. They can disrupt, but they cannot decisively cripple. Now consider the contrast. The U.S. Tomahawk missile. This is a weapon that flies low, navigates precisely, and delivers a literal half-ton of high explosive. One Tomahawk could accomplish what a squadron of Ukraine's current drones simply cannot, destroying an entire large-scale facility, like a major oil processing plant or a high-security military command center. Its 1,600-mile range opens up targets previously untouchable, essentially holding all critical Russian infrastructure at risk. The decision to deploy Tomahawks is fraught with global risk, certainly. It signals a dramatic escalation and a profound Western commitment. But, as our key insight suggests, it also provides Ukraine with the strategic weapon needed to fundamentally alter the battlefield dynamics and apply a pressure to the Russian economy that simply cannot be sustained. This is the asymmetry that needs to be resolved for any meaningful shift in the war's trajectory. But the deepest instability in this conflict is not on the front line. It is in the gilded cages of the Kremlin. The concept of sudden Russian death syndrome is a macabre way to describe the pattern of mysterious, high-profile deaths among Russia's elite following the invasion. We've seen top figures, businessmen, energy executives, and former officials, found dead under inexplicable or suicide circumstances. It's a climate of terror and purges, a chilling echo of Stalin's most ruthless eras. This isn't random. It's a ruthless survival strategy. The purges are designed to eliminate rivals and consolidate Putin's grip on power. Consider the arrest and harsh sentencing of figures like Deputy Defense Minister Timur Ivanov. The internal narrative is one of anti-corruption and government cleansing. Yet, this narrative is a flimsy mask. The stark reality is a leader whose personal fortune is rumored to be up to $200 billion, a staggering figure that highlights systemic, unimaginable corruption at the very core of the regime. The targets of the purges are often those who helped enrich and empower Putin in the first place. The motive is not integrity, but an obsessive, pathological need for absolute loyalty. This fear-driven environment has led to a profound erosion of meritocracy. Political survival depends on blind allegiance, not competence. The most capable technocrats and economic experts are sidelined, replaced by military loyalists. This fundamentally weakens Russia's innovation and economic stability, particularly as foreign partners continue their retreat. It's a cancer that is eating away at the institutional effectiveness of the Russian state from the inside. Putin's paranoia is not merely political. It is personal and pervasive. His extreme security measures are now legendary. Identical conference rooms, decoy planes, and layers of security that indicate a deep, crippling mistrust. This level of suspicion suggests a leader who is increasingly isolated, which can only impair decision-making at the most critical time. His method of control can be described as salami tactics. Remove perceived threats layer by layer, isolating targets before delivering the decisive, fatal blow. This is a slow, methodical dismemberment of dissent. It is effective in the short term for consolidating personal power, but it comes at an enormous cost. The continuous, systematic erosion of Russia's political, economic, and even military foundations. This internal decay risks accelerating instability at a moment when Russia can least afford it. A state cannot wage a prolonged, costly war abroad while simultaneously fighting a war of purges and fear within its own elite. The center of power is weakening. The true takeaway here, the key insight, is that Putin's Kremlin is in a state of freefall. It is a fragile house of cards sustained only by brute force and manufactured fear. The current purge is not a sign of strength or a cleansing. It is a desperate act of survival by an isolated leader who sees threats in every shadow and in every face around him. I believe the global community must recognize this volatility, because the internal decay of Putin's regime will have profound, unpredictable consequences for Russia's future and for the broader global balance of power. So, we are left with a dual challenge: supporting Ukraine's strategic needs, potentially with a capability leap like the Tomahawk, while watching the Kremlin's political structure crumble under the weight of its own fear and corruption. This is the reality of the war right now. A battle for territory on one side, and a battle for the very soul and survival of the Russian regime on the other. Both are heading toward a tipping point. We will continue to track these intertwined narratives as they unfold, bringing you the forecast on the geopolitical storm. If you value this deep dive analysis, if you want to stay ahead of the critical shifts defining the global order, there is one thing you need to do. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications for the Patriot forecast. Don't miss our next report as the situation rapidly develops. Thank you for watching, and good night.